Most people apply for Amex the wrong way. A lot of times people look for the different Amex cards that they can get and they just start applying the different cards. But you might be making a huge mistake if you apply for the wrong card first. Fat Daddy, baby. Rich Rising, y'all. It's your boy, the real Fat Danny. In today's wealth conversation, we're going to talk about the differences between the platinum and the gold card. Because I have a client of mine, he's an entrepreneur, him and his wife. I just helped him fix his credit, got his credit score to an 800 plus, and he's looking to get some funding. And he had a relationship with Amex in the past, him and his wife. So he sent me a text and he was asking me, yo, Danny, what's the difference between the gold and the platinum? Should I get the platinum again first, or what should we do? And so I want you guys to actually understand that there's a proper strategy when you're working with Amex. And most people aren't using the proper strategy. They get denied or they get low limits, or they're not even optimizing the amount of funding that they could really get from Amex. And that's because a lot of times people are looking at the perks, right? I mean, psychologically, you want to understand these credit card companies, banks, and everything like that, when they're marketing their cards, they want to promote to you the different, rewards and, the different things that you can get, on the consumer side of things. And that's what typically attracts you or attracts someone. But you also want to consider, if you're watching this and you're an entrepreneur or you want to become an entrepreneur, then you want to actually look at funding differently, because you want to look at it more of a strategy and more of a sequence, and it's a step-by-step process. You don't want to go for the wrong thing first. So let's talk about it. So with the platinum card, there's basically three different buckets. You have Uber credits, you have points, and you have lounge access. With the Uber credits, it's basically $200 a year, and you use it or lose it, right? So you have to use it or you will lose it. It's $200 a year. With the lounge access, you get access to the different lounges available, which are Centurion lounges, Priority Pass, and Delta Access lounges. And with the points, you get 5 times points on flights. They're good for transfer partners, and basically you're able to redeem these different points that come along with the card. Also, I forgot to mention that with the platinum card, you do get a $200 airline fee credit, and you also do get a $200 Aura Ring credit. You also get a $200 Uber Cash credit, a $209 Clear Plus credit, so Clear, at the airport, and a $300 digital entertainment credit, right? So this works for Disney Plus, ESPN, Hulu, New York Times, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Wall Street Journal, YouTube, and there's a couple other things here as well, Equinox. Basically, when it comes to the platinum, it's more so of a lifestyle and a travel type of card, right? $300 Lululemon credit, right? So there's a couple different things here where you'll also get uh, hotel credits, membership reward points earned for cruises, and 5 times for air, like I said as well, and hotel for some hotels. So this is basically a lifestyle and a traveling type of card. So when you're looking at it like on the consumer aspect of things, if you're a traveler, if you're more so, on the lifestyle sort of goal, then that's where you'll focus on the platinum card, because it's predominantly giving you perks that are based around travel and lifestyle. Now, as an entrepreneur or someone that wants to maximize their funding, you really want to take a look at this business gold card. So if you're a business owner, you definitely want to look at the business gold card, because here's the thing. With the business gold card, you can get over 150,000 points, which can basically be transferable to $1,500 to $3,000 depending on how you redeem the points, right? You also want to understand that with the business gold card, it's actually not going to report to your personal credit report. So as entrepreneurs, we want to understand, we want to leverage as much funding as we can that will not affect our personal credit. And the best thing about the business gold is that it is not going to report to your personal credit report, which means that the utilization is not going to affect your personal credit. The usage, the payments, nothing is going to affect your personal credit report. Now, when you apply for these, cards, it will, have an inquiry on your credit report. And anytime you apply for something, an inquiry does ding your report because that's the way the system was set up, y'all. Right? Like, just imagine if you had an 800 credit score and every time you applied for funding, the inquiry didn't lower your score a little bit. That would basically mean as long as we had a good credit score, then we can just go ahead and get funding from everywhere. That means you could go to 100 banks if you had an 800 credit score and not get denied from anywhere. And so the system makes it hard for everybody, right? It's a chess game, not checkers. So even when you have a 750, a 800 credit score, when you start applying, those inquiries will ding your report. So that's why it's important to understand that you want to know what your goal is, so that way, when you're applying for different cards, you're actually doing it in the proper sequence. Because with AMEX, you can actually apply for multiple cards from one inquiry and get approved for multiple cards. Most people don't even know that. And also, different cards are sort of at a higher level than other cards. Before you get access to them, you have to have some sort of relationship. So typically, when it comes to the platinum card, you want to already have a relationship built. With the gold card, you can find your way in, a little sooner than you would with the platinum card, especially if you don't already have a relationship with Amex. So, like when it comes to the gold and the platinum, you can start with the gold because it's actually on a lower level than the platinum card, and you can work your way in, build your relationship with Amex, give good payment history, good usage, and all that sort of stuff. And then when you apply for that platinum card, you already have a good internal relationship with them. And also you maximize, a good amount of funding with that gold card as well, because you can get some good funding with that gold card, with that business gold card, depending on your situation. So here's the problem, y'all. And like I've been saying earlier in this video, the problem is not always that you don't make enough money or that you're broke or whatever. The problem is that you don't understand sequencing. And maybe not you watching this video, but that's the problem with most people when it comes to applying for funding, maximizing the amount of funding that they get access to, getting access to American Express funding. Most people don't understand sequencing and they just sort of shoot in the dark approach. And when you understand the right strategy, then you can really get yourself in a better position a lot faster. So I actually help entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that want to be properly structure their personal and business profiles and clean up their profiles if necessary. So that way they can get access to 100,000 to 250,000 plus in funding, including 0% interest funding in 30 to 60 days. And the best thing about funding is that you can do it in rounds. So every round you can get access to more and more funding. So it doesn't stop at 100 to 200K, but that first round of funding, you can actually get 100 to 200,000 plus without having to show W-2s, business plans, or even bank statements. So if you need help fixing and building your credit or accessing funding, I dropped the link below in the caption, so you can go ahead and click that if you'd like to. Because if you're serious about graduating from employed to never employed and fully funded, then just tap in with us and we're going to take care of you. So I want you to really think about this. What are your goals for funding? When you start applying for credit cards and loans and all that sort of stuff, I want you to actually think about what your goal is for the next 6 to 12 months with that funding. What is your goal? How much funding do you need? What are you going to use it for? Right? What's going to be the return on investment? Right? When will it start to give you that return? And when will the return be completed, so that way you're now making a profit on that money? Or what is the purpose for the money? Are you just going to get a car? Are you getting, what is the goal? So you need to understand what your goal is for the next 6 to 12 months before you start applying for funding. So that way you keep yourself in the best position before you start getting inquiries on your credit report and your score starts to drop and you're not even, maximizing the situation per inquiry. So understand what your goal is for the next 6 to 12 months. Understand how much funding you need to get. Understand where your credit report currently is. So you want to pull your credit report from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, so that way you can see it on all three credit reporting agencies. because different banks and lenders pull from different reporting agencies. So you want to make sure that all three of them are up to a T. And you want to make sure the utilization is under 30%, even under 10% if possible. Because when banks see that your utilization is high, the reason why they deny people with high utilization is because it's a high risk. Why is it a high risk? Because basically, in layman's terms, right, it's just the fact that if you have high utilization to the bank, it looks like you can't pay these things back in time. And if you can't pay these other things back in time that you already have, what happens when we give you 20,000, 50,000, 100,000? It seems like you're not going to pay us back in time or in full in time, right? So that's basically what it is. When you have your utilization under 30%, under 10%, then to banks and lenders, it looks like, oh, okay, you handle all your other debt very well. You keep your utilization low with other banks, meaning that you pay, a proportion, a larger proportion of the debt that you used, you pay it back within the statement date with your other banks, so we can lend you 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Because listen, y'all, banks want to give funding. They make money off lending money. They make money off interest. They make money off fees. They make money off money, y'all. So they want to lend money, but they want to make sure they're lending it to people that will pay them back, pay them on time, and typically people that keep that utilization low, because it just shows that you're paying a larger proportion, if not everything, every time that your card or your balance is due. So it's good faith. It builds a good relationship. So before you start applying for funding, know what your 6 to 12-month goal is. Know what your utilization is. What's your score? Make sure you have no negatives on your credit report. No collections, charge-offs, late payments, none of that stuff. So then ask yourself, is the perks more important? Is the travel perks more important? Is the points more important? Is getting the most amount of funding more important? Just ask yourself what your funding goal is when it comes to perks or maximizing the amount of funding that you need. Because your credit cards should match your mission. It should match your goals. Because credit is a tool. Points are perks, and they're definitely great. But funding is leverage, and leverage will lead you to freedom. So if you want more strategic breakdowns like this, make sure you like this video, comment, and subscribe, because in the next video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to properly build your relationship with AMEX from not having a relationship with them at all. So that way you can maximize your funding. And we're going to talk about how you're going to be able to get multiple cards with AMEX and get hundreds of thousands of dollars over time with AMEX as well. All right, so make sure you stay tuned and tap in. It's a boy. Fat Daddy, baby.